Okay, thank you. So, shall we get started?
Sure.
I'm sorry, it's a little bit noisy. So, what do you think is a good way to look at the compensation of a company? Like, what kind of factors and elements should we look at?
Okay, that you'll have to repeat. Elements,
Um,
compensation elements.
yeah. For this company, the CEO's total compensation increased by 8.8% in the last year, and its stock price went up 13.7%, and its net income went up 25% from the same period last year. So how do you evaluate whether this raise in the compensation is justifiable or not?
Well, now wait a minute. Is this the company we talked about, or
Ah,
you mentioned?
yeah. It's a
Okay, I can't
financial
talk about
company.
that.
Yeah, but like, if generally speaking, if we look at a company's performance and the CEO's raise in his compensation, what are the elements that you consider when you consider whether the raise in compensation is justifiable or not?
Well, I think the two you pointed to, increase in stock price and increase in net income, are probably just about two of the best. The only one I might add is looking at total shareholder return. I don't know if they pay any dividends, but compare that to their peer group.
I'm sorry.
You could compare a company's performance, such as net income and stock price, to the company's peer group. That
Oh,
means other companies, and they're listed in the proxy statement.
yes.
Any company that files a proxy statement, well, almost any company, will list a peer group
Yes.
that it views as its peers.
Like benchmark.
Right, exactly. And so you could look at how this company's performance, any given company's performance, stacks up against its peers. And the reason you do that is because, if the whole stock market is rising, every company goes up, good or bad. Whereas if this company appears to be doing better than its peers, particularly in stock price and net income, well, sounds like they're doing better than their peers. That's the key.
But, like, for example, if I know that his stock price outperform many of his peers, like maybe outperform the average in the industry by like 2%, say, but how do I say, and then his compensation was raised by 8%? Like, how do I compare this like different percentage and to say whether it is reasonable?
Are you using the total compensation column from the summary compensation table?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's anytime you're using that, it's going to be very difficult because that is a rough estimate based on the assumed value of stock awards on the day of the award.
Yeah, then what is the metric you think is more appropriate?
Well, the problem is compensation awarded today, they estimate the value, and we really won't know for a couple of years if that, if the goals were obtained, if the stock price continued to go up or went down. Many companies will use something called realized pay or realizable pay.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll put that information in their proxy. But that's what, again, that's looking back, but it'll tell you of the awards we made to this CEO that vested or options that were exercised. This is the real amount, not the estimated amount we had to estimate for SEC reporting purposes. This is the amount the executive received.
Yeah, but looking at the proxy issued by the beginning of this year, and if you look back at 2017, I didn't see any this kind of like received payment information.
No, well, it's not required to be reported, and a lot of companies don't report it. But honestly, I'm not, as to whether you, well, I'd be very surprised if you can find any direct correlation between this, an increase in a CEO's compensation in any given year and the stock price, other than a general increase. If the stock price goes up, chances are the income or the total compensation will go up. Whereas if it went down, a decent chance it'll go down, or certainly at least not increase. But I honestly have to tell you, I've been doing this for 35 years, and I know of no direct correlation between those two.
What about apart from net income and stock price, and you said the total shareholders return is another factor to that weigh in? Can you explain more like how that should be considered?
Did you say how should total shareholder return be considered?
Yeah.
Okay, well, under Dodd-Frank, the Dodd-Frank Act of 2010, companies, the SEC was supposed to promulgate rules requiring companies to report their total shareholder return and their relative total shareholder return over a 3 to 5 year basis. Now, if that, but the SEC never issued proposed rules, but never finalized them. The method proposed by the SEC is about the best. I mean, if I had to do it myself, that's probably what I'd look at. I'd go back and look at the SEC's method, and you more or less would put it on a chart. Okay, here's our total shareholder return, and here's our peers. Now, have you heard of ISS?
The shareholder service?
Yes, Institutional Shareholder Services?
Yes.
Okay, they put out a report like a couple weeks after companies filed their proxy statement. They put out their own report, and they use their own metrics and their own peer group. That is, ISS selects a peer group that it believes fits, and they produce a chart that shows a comparison. So if you could get your hands on the ISS report for any given company, you can get a decent idea. You could look at a third party. At least someone has done the math for it, and you wouldn't have to do it yourself.
Yeah, but I think that is not open to the public, is it?
No.
Yeah.
No, but maybe for the media they would let you have a look.
I contacted ISS for interview, but they just turned down the request.
Yeah. Okay.
So if the total shareholder return increase, does it has like a higher chance that the total compensation of the CEO will also increase?
Yes.
So this like correlation is also exist?
Yes. And again, not just total shareholder return, but relative total shareholder return.
What is relative shareholder return?
Relative means compared against your peer group. Right? So if you went up 10, the company A went up 10% this year, but all of company's peers went up 20% this year, suddenly 10% doesn't look so good. Now, if company A's peers went down or went up only 2% this year, well, company's A's performance now looks even better.
Yeah, so this also serves like a very important metric to look at.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, because it compares you against your peers. Right? I mean, anybody whose stock price, most companies' stock price went up in 2017, right?
Yeah.
The whole market went up. The question is, in looking at your peers, did yours go up more than theirs?
Got it. And what about like this company employs performance-based compensation? So 71% of the total compensation is determined by the performance at a performance-based level. So what does this performance-based compensation mean? What do you think its advantages and disadvantages lie in?
Well, I'm not sure it has any disadvantages to the company. The advantages are that if the company doesn't perform, the executive doesn't get paid or doesn't get paid as much. And presumably, I don't, if it's measured over a period of time as opposed to 1 year, like a 1 year annual bonus, performance bonus, well, 1 year is kind of a short period of time. But if it's 3 years, a 3-year performance period, that also suggests an advantage to the company and its shareholders, because you can't just try real hard and artificially get things good for 1 year and then you'll pay for it the next year, because 1 year isn't good enough. You got to sustain performance over 3 years.
Yeah, it actually has a long-term incentive plan and a short-term incentive plan. The long-term accounts for 3 years performance. Yeah, and it takes the largest proportion in the total plan. It takes like for more than 40% of the total plan. Yeah, so it puts quite a lot of emphasis on the long term, like 3 years performance.
Right. And you also look at you look at stock ownership guidelines. Most companies require the CEO and other executives and board members to hold on to their stock, which means, that actually has the tendency to extend even the 3-year period. Okay, so we hit the targets in 2017, I get my stock, but I can't sell it, I have to keep it, which means I still can't play games to try to get prices artificially high. I must hold that stock. So that's another plus for shareholders.
Oh, what does that mean? Is it like an extension ownership requirement?
Stock, they're called, almost all companies call them stock ownership guidelines.
Oh, and it's reviewed in the Part C?
Yes, if you have them, if the company has them, they'll almost for surely mention that in their proxy.
So they need to hold the stocks for more than 3 years?
Well, any stock they receive, most of it they have to hold, yes.
Do you mean the options that will be vested after more than 3 years?
Well, options are different because options may be vested, but you choose not to exercise them. But that's actually good for the company and shareholders, because if you haven't exercised them, you still have the incentive to see the company go up. It's only where you get stock and you sell it that you are no longer as strongly incentivized.
So what you were saying is not stock option, but just stock.
Yes, stock ownership is key. You want to see that the executives own lots of stock, lots of company stock.
Yeah, this CEO owns 200 200,000-ish shares of the stock, which accounts for 0.3% of the total outstanding shares of the company. So do you think this is a like a good number, 0.3%?
Hypothetically, what's the company stock price? Because
It's about $90.
nine zero 90.
90, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a lot of money, right? 200,000 times 90 is a pretty good number, right? If you have that much money riding on something, I mean, I'd argue that you're pretty strongly incentivized not to blow it, right?
So although the percentage itself is not that big, but concerning the price is still a strong suggestion that he is like he has a he has a confidence, or like he needs to do what's best for the shareholders.
Yeah, so that's, as far as the total number, that also is a function of how long any given officer is at a company. I mean, if the executive's only been there 3 years, it's hard to accumulate that much stock. If the executive's been there 20 years, that's a different story.
Yeah, he has been for almost 20 years.
Oh, okay.
And then, yeah, so this amount of money compared to his long term in this position, I mean, that shouldn't be a big amount, like, considering he has already been the CEO for so many years.
Was that a question?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so this stock ownership, what's its what does it suggest?
Well, let's see, 200,000 times $90 is what, $18 million he holds?
Yes.
Unless he's a Rockefeller or somebody like that, I'm going to guess $18 million is a pretty substantial portion of his wealth.
Okay. Yeah, so that will speak to what kind of conclusion that could be drawn from this fact.
So was that the question? I
Yeah.
couldn't quite hear it.
I'm sorry. And yeah, so you mean this is like a substantial amount of money that he has put in the company stock. So does that suggest that he may be more incentivized to perform well, like react, just perform in the best interest of the company?
Well, I can't talk about any individual company, but anytime a CEO owns the majority of his or her net worth, and or $18 million invested, I would say that's a pretty good incentive for me to invest my little $1,000 in.
Okay. And also, in terms of the CEO pay ratio, which
Yep.
is, CEO pay ratio, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so for this company, it's 80 to 1, 80 to 1. And I'm not sure what is this number they compare with the peer in the financial sector, or maybe just compare with, I don't know, the whole public companies as a whole. What kind of position it is at?
Well, the first thing about that number is there's two important things about that number. The first one, it's only in there. It serves no useful purpose for any real investor. It's only a reason in there because at the time the Dodd-Frank bill was passed, they slipped in a favor to unions, and unions like this ratio because they think it embarrasses companies. But it has no real shareholder is ever going to bother to read that because they know it's meaningless. Number one. And number two,
why is it meaningless? Do you also think it's meaningless?
Definitely meaningless. And let me tell you the second reason, and this adds to why it's meaningless, because there's so much flexibility in how it is calculated, it is nearly impossible to compare even similar companies because there's so many assumptions and exceptions and exclusions that two companies could calculate their ratio. I mean, any company could calculate its ratio in two different ways, and the ways would report a much different result. And both would be completely legal and acceptable for reporting. So that's a problem. Another problem is the pay ratio varies by industry. I think McDonald's has one of the highest ratios around there that's been reported so far, and that's because they have so many, part-time and franchise-type workers. Whereas you look at a company that's, a high-tech or engineering-type company, and it's going to have a low ratio because more of the employees are highly paid. That doesn't mean one company's good or not. It just means that's the kind of industry they're in.
Yeah. Yeah, so it does not make much sense to compare different companies, and just so this ratio just does not mean anything.
Well, no, I mean again, to somebody who's interested in making an economic decision on whether or not to buy stock, I would say I wouldn't even look at it. Now, I guess if I'm thinking, is this employer, I don't know, socially conscious or something like that? Forget about performance, things that should matter to an investor. But you don't care about the investment; you're caring about something else. Then if you compare them to to their peers, you might be able to draw some conclusions.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Wait a minute. I need to find a quieter place. I'm sorry. Yeah. So I think my questions are almost done. And do you think there are any other figures in the proxy or like sectors in the proxy that I should take a look at that I haven't mentioned?
Not really. I mean, if it's just for this purpose, the stock charts are always useful because one is, summary table tells you what was paid this year and the 2 years before, or estimates of what will be paid. But the stock vesting table tells you how much was actually vested in dollars paid to this individual this year. And whether the performance criteria were actually achieved. So if they set a 3-year plan and gave an award 3 years ago, did they achieve goals in 2017 so that it actually paid out to him or her?
Yeah, it actually overachieved the goal, the 3-year goal, by slightly overachieved, maybe like 101% compared to the goal. Yeah.
Okay, well that's generally good news. Well, I shouldn't say generally. It's good news.
Yeah, and for the stock price, its stock went up by 13% compared to year ago, but it underperformed the S&P 500 index. So yeah, so I don't know. Just it's very mixed.
Industries do a lot better. Right? I mean, sometimes like the techs go up, and sometimes industrials go up, and sometimes financial sector goes up, and others don't. I don't know which case it was last year, honestly, in 2017, but that's why you look at peers. Because if all the peers went up 20%, well, and this, or if all the peers went up, if this company, a given company, went up 30%, and its peers only went up 20%, well, that's good. I mean, it's good for the company. But if most similar companies or peer groups went up 50%, and your company only went up 30, well, that's obviously not as good. It just shows that it went up and everybody got dragged along, but this company didn't do particularly, maybe didn't earn it.
Yeah, I got it. I think I need to go back and to look from the considering the peers performance. Follow-up question: Can I make another call to you, or just email you the questions?
Email would be easier.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. It's really helpful.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Bye. Have a good day. Sorry for the noise.